you will know me already, having been the course coordinator for your course. I'm also the e-learning manager at EIT, and I'll be your host for this evening. Now, there were some problems with the power at this venue today. The power was off all day, and this would have been a real shame, as I was hoping to show off my new moustache that I've been cultivating over the last few weeks to raise money for November for men's health. So it looks like we've overcome this issue. No problems there. All right, now before we start, I'd like to point out the toilet's just outside the door. I'm not sure if you say just straight outside the door. Now, if you're a smoker, just downstairs, straight downstairs and out the front, you'll be able to smoke. And the emergency exit also just down the front there. So. All right, now firstly, I'd like to welcome you all to our EIT Graduation Gala. I hope you enjoy the night. I've been personally looking forward to tonight to put some faces to some of the names that I've been communicating with and just to meet all the different graduates around the place. So it should be a good night. Now, we decided to introduce the EIT Graduate Gala for a number of reasons. Now, one reason is to put a face to online learning. We've all communicated electronically and over the phone during the courses, and tonight will be a good idea for you to meet the course coordinators. There's Angie over there and Holly over there and Bree. And all the other EIT staff and the other students also that you've been in webinars with and that you've met throughout your time with us. Now, there'll be plenty of time for you all to meet each other throughout the night. And personally, I look forward to meeting all of you. Now, another reason is to celebrate all of our graduates' achievements. And the course coordinators and I talk to students every day. And we understand that it's not easy to spend 18 months of intensive study to achieve an advanced diploma or a professional certificate of competency or any other course. And we think it's important to recognise this achievement with everyone. It's always very difficult to juggle study with work and family commitments. And when you finally get a moment to yourself and you're ready to put on the cricket to watch Michael Clark get his next double century, or watch Nick Nannui leap over 3 defenders for the Eagles to take Mark of the Year again, you realise that you have another assignment due very soon, asking you difficult questions about advanced process control or AC, DC motors and things like that. Certainly not easy to turn it all off. Also, the challenges while you're studying. You prepare yourself for a webinar and your computer decides not to turn on at the worst possible time. Or your son or daughter decides that webinars are a good time to see what daddy's doing and to make a lot of noise. This is something I can relate to, as the students in the Advanced Diploma of Industrial Automation can tell you. Now, before I introduce the first guest speaker, I would like to acknowledge the graduates that are joining us online. We have the webinar room open. There's lots of students there online, so we welcome all of you. And also there's a second EIT Graduate Gala being held today in South Africa, and I'd like to congratulate those students also. Now, first I'd like to introduce Steve Mackey, Dr. Steve Mackey. If you could come up, Steve. Now, Dr. Steve Mackey, or Mackay, depending on how you say it, is the Dean of Engineering at the Engineering Institute of Technology. He has a PhD, a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering with honours, and an MBA. He's currently leading a team in creating a new video conferencing software package with remote labs, and he believes will make a marked impact on engineering training. Welcome, Steve.
Yeah, thanks very much, Paul, for that introduction. We've got a fairly modest group tonight together, but we've got really a lot of people online, and also we're just running, as Paul says, a similar ceremony overseas with another 30 or 40. And as you know, there's a few thousand students every year, and we have a very low attrition rate. So it's really fantastic to have everyone here in a small group, and as Paul says, to try and get some identification to the faces. Some of you up at Mikatara obviously couldn't make it, although we've got Murray here from the Pilbara and quite a few of you guys from the up north, so it's really good. And obviously we've got someone from Victoria as well, so it's fantastic. Who's from Victoria? Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, it's fantastic having people getting together. I always look at with incredible admiration to see the guys that actually finished the course and put all the effort in. It's a ferocious amount of effort, and I feel quite guilty when I think of going to a classroom-based university or college. It's actually very, very easy, and for you to drive yourself through, it's this unbelievable amount of effort. And it's not just a 24-week academic year either. It's a 72 weeks in 18 months, so it's actually full on all the time. So the pressure is enormous, and it's fantastic to see you guys persist and get through. So you really are to be complimented. So I just thought I'd just have a few thoughts tonight on the workforce engineering, and I thought I'd just launch those. Yep. So if you could just pop these slides on there. Thanks very much, Matilda. And obviously we've got a really fantastic team of people, particularly Matilda and Carolina, who have put enormous effort into getting everyone together tonight, and also overseas as well. So it's really fantastic the amount of effort they've put together. So I just want to put a few ideas together here. I know I just want to obviously thank Barry and Greg from Murdoch. Barry who's coming here tonight will be presenting after me, and hopefully will agree with what I say here, but we'll soon see. Barry's the WA Division President, and also very grateful to have him here, and obviously hopefully you can critique some of my comments here. So first thing is, I really believe you need to engineer your career, which is what you've done with doing the courses. You guys have all got 16-year-olds that have just suddenly jumped into academia. You've actually mature professionals. You've been working in the real world for many, many years. So some of this hopefully will strike a chord. So the first thing is to remain positive. I think it's extremely difficult in the last 3 or 4 years to stay positive with all the economic travails that have gone, especially overseas, and the press gives you some really negative vibes, but the trick is to keep positive and in top problem-solving mode as well. So in other words, engineers are very good at critiquing things. You only need to look at one of our manuals. Engineer will go through it with the red marker very quickly, but actually to be in problem-solving mode, actually to try and create things from issues that we've got to confront. So very, very important that. Communicate brilliantly is another issue. Most of us engineers, technicians, technologists hate reading and writing, especially the Generation Y, as you know. Very, very important to try and focus on communicating your ideas across. We've had some incredible engineers presenting courses for us, but often they can't communicate very well. So very, very important to focus on that. If you can communicate, present, and also read and write well, write a short report, not lots of verbal stuff, but that can be really powerful. Fit into the organizational culture. I especially look at the Generation Y that's coming out now, and often they're not too enthusiastic about getting into the sort of organization. It's very important to try and fit into perhaps a very flexible BHP, Rio type culture and make the best that you can within that culture. It's very frustrating sometimes. You only need to go to a coffee shop on St. George's Terrace to hear about all the problems, but try and live with it and try and make it work for you. And fill in the forms and do all the right stuff. Build value, innovation, and excellence. The only thing that really will distinguish you from everyone else around town is actually trying to do something innovative. I mean, you only need to walk onto a mine site and see some incredibly innovative designs, whether it's a scraper for a conveyor belt or a particular variable speed drive. And I know Justin will have some comments here about innovation, perhaps in a rather destructive, high catastrophic environment, which he's going to entertain you with shortly. But really being innovative in problem solving, and Justin will come up with some comments there. The other thing which is a little bit distressing for us, of course, is that business is a key part of our lives. So it's really important to sort of take on board the fact that you can't replace the PLC on a plant because it's 20 years old or 15 years old. You have to replace it because there's a financial reason for it. So just look at your wife or your partner at home. They work in dollars and cents. Unfortunately, in a business, you have to do the same thing. So ripping out a PC because it's the older version of Windows, really try and look at it from a business perspective and try and look at everything from a business perspective. That'll mean you survive a bit longer. So when the purges come through the organization, cleaning it out, as it happens in every organization, large or small, if you've looked at it from a business point of view, you've probably got more of a chance of surviving and prospering. Build your engineering career. Again, probably 90% of your learning is informal. So 10% of your learning is actually coursework, whether it's a degree or a diploma, but 90% is estimated is actually done informally. It's over the water cooler, it's in the 45-degree heat in the Pilbara, under a conveyor belt, or troubleshooting a particular problem and listening from some guy who's actually worked on it. Look, this is the reason why the ultrasonic detector won't work in this particular bin, because there's too much dust. This is the way I solve it. That's the most powerful form of learning. So very, very important. Informal learning and keeping your saw sharp, in other words, keeping yourself up to speed. Respect everyone in the firm and get their support. Probably a little bit of politicking here. Really, if you want to go places in your organization, if it's a large company, you have to be friends with as many people as you want. You do not want enemies. You don't want to antagonize people. And I know I've had a few comments from a few people here who have probably spoken their mind, but of course it doesn't really win you friends. So really, it's really important to try and win friends, or just walk away from the person you have an argument with, rather than having a massive falling out. Getting the support of everyone in your business or your organization is really important. Unfortunately, if you're a really good technologist, technician, or engineer, that isn't the entire story of success in business. It's actually communicating your success. I solved this problem, making sure it gets out to everyone in the organization. They're very subtle. You don't need to blow your trumpet and be loud and profound, but you can be subtle about it. But you need to communicate why I fixed that problem, and I need to let everyone else know. So really important. That could be a little bit of, we won't use any negative language here, but it could be creeping up various orifices, but really a little bit of positive communication of your work is really important. And finally, learning, which you guys have. I mean, you guys, as Paul said earlier on, you're the guys that keep persisting through hell and thick water, or whatever you want to call it, but you keep persisting to get through. And that is what our lives are about. I know, I always laugh, at the amount of courses I've given, and I always laugh when I tell everyone in the office, I've actually learned more from presenting the courses than I've actually taught people. So I learn a ferocious amount by listening to people, and it's just ongoing. I mean, it's a bit distressing sometimes when you think you have to keep learning till the day they put you 6 feet under. You have to keep learning and keep going. And you guys have shown it. You've actually persisted, and it's just an ongoing affair with learning. It doesn't mean you have to do courses. It's informal learning. As I said, that's probably 90% of the story, but you have to keep improving yourself. Another thing is follow your heart and passion. I get very distressed when I see a 40-year-old saying, you say, what are you going to do in 5 years' time? Mate, I can't wait till I get out of this godforsaken hole and I'm fishing. Well, unfortunately, if that's the case, try and follow your passion as soon as possible and change. Why would you condemn yourself? We've got friends, we've all got friends who have died in their 30s and 40s, heart attacks, cancer, you name it. So follow your heart. So if it's not engineering, we'll change it to something else. Or if it's a particular brand of engineering, it's worthwhile changing as soon as humanly possible, as soon as the kids are out of the school, or you can make it work. But you need to follow your heart and passion, because if you don't do that, you're condemning yourself to a horrendous lifestyle. And then the final comment is, only you can change your life, which is what you guys know. You've taken bull by the horns and attended a course, work through it. No one can do it for you. So that's really very, very important. Grab your life and make the changes. We always feel buffeted by these incredible forces around us. I do. I feel depressed sometimes. This last week I've been feeling particularly depressed, wondering what's going on. Little did I know, of course, that yesterday there would be a power failure, and the hotel will let us know this afternoon there's a problem with the power here. Can you guys postpone the venue? Tell the guy in Victoria to come back next week. So you feel that you've got no control of life. But the trick is, I mean, as young engineer James here, well, it's 2 years from graduation, jumped onto the internet. Steve, and in fact Matilda as well, we've got a generator at the Bunnings, which we can buy if there's none in stock. And Matilda says, keep that generator until 3:30, and then we will be picking it up. I will let you know at 3 o'clock if there's a problem. So she's taken control of the situation and looked around and said, no, we can pop the generator out there. We're going to have a long lead. I'm sure James's mind is hopefully working. Voltage drop. Is there a potential problem there? But the trick is, you take control of your life and you take control of the situation. That's what you've got to do, and that's the story of our lives. And if you have to keep reminding ourselves, because I have to keep reminding myself, but really important. So last few words beside that, before we pass on the baton to Barry, really, I just want to say one last thing is keep us in mind. We admire you enormously, whether it's my wife or whether it's the learning coordinators, whether it's Paul, Carolina, anyone in the office, the instructors admire you guys enormously for what you've done. And I mean, just keep us informed, keep us in touch, because we really want to find out what you guys are doing. EIT is expanding rapidly, as you know. We've gone from 50 students 3 years ago. We've got probably 2,000 or 3,000 students. Next year, probably even more. And we're adding in bachelor degrees and master degrees. We've got a collaboration with Murdoch University. Although Greg said to me, don't be so quick. We've got collaboration agreement signed, but we're making some changes. But despite all that, we are progressing. We've got collaboration arrangements with Murdoch University, Hull University in North England, and State University of New York for bachelor degrees. We are working hard on master degrees and things like that. So really, we are driven by you guys. There's an incredible need for this sort of education. So if you want to set the business, it's definitely online education provided by people who know what they're doing, experts. So there's definitely an opportunity there. But as I say, we really admire what you guys have done over the last few years, whether it's a short course or whether it's an 18-month course or a 2-year master degree. And we want to stay in touch. So please keep us in mind in the future. Let us know what you're doing. Really, don't forget us. We won't forget you guys. And we really want to keep in touch for as long as we're around. And as I say, the future looks very, very positive. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any comments, hopefully we can catch up after the next break. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'd now like to introduce Barry Tonkin. If you can come up, Barry. Now, Barry is the president of the WA Division of Engineers Australia. He's a civil engineer, a chartered professional engineer, and a fellow of the Institute of Engineers Australia. Mr. Tonkin is passionate about finding those nifty solutions, ensuring positive relationships are maintained, and winning against the odds. Welcome, Barry. Thank you. How's that? Hello. Yeah. Is it flashing? This is cool. Well, congratulations all the graduates. I think it's fantastic that online learning has come so far. I've forgotten I've given you that. Okay, I'll tell you a bit about me. I'm a civil engineer. I'm a dispute resolution practitioner. That means I'll tell you about that in that. A registered builder, and I'm a justice of the peace. So I'm
above all other things, committed to engineering. I'm passionate about the engineering team. You guys are part of my team. I've been fully engaged in engineering since I graduated some time ago, and I've continued to sort of go to school until recently. I expand on that. I suppose some of that might say what I no, it doesn't. I started off in engineering, did about 12 years in the railways as a project engineer, and that was in Kalgoorlie, and then it was in Geraldton, and that's where I had my 2 daughters, and they're now well and truly grown up. Then spent some time in Perth, and during my sort of time out in the country, I sort of felt like I needed to do something else, so I did a Bachelor of Business, so I know what online learning is about. It wasn't quite online like it is now. It was telephone and books and post. But yeah, that took, instead of like 3 years full-time, it took about 6 years part-time externally. And then after that, when I got back into Perth, I did attend classes, so I did a graduate diploma in business law. That was out at Curtin. I never got to Murdoch, sorry. Then I did an MBA, which MBA is like a normal course, except instead of doing it in sort of online or any other, you do it what's called block mode. I did it in Victoria. I was in Perth. Travel across there, do 2 weeks or something like that, and then do all the lessons from bookwork. You get these huge big packs. You think fantastic. You can drop it on your foot and break it. It's 12 modules, and it takes you about 3 or 4 years to finish that. So at the end of that, you get an MBA. You've done something like 40 trips to Melbourne to attend classes, and the graduations in Melbourne, you never go to those. I did a Master of Law at UWA, which was much easier to attend. It was just down the road, and that put me into have an interest in contracting. And about 5 years ago, I started this last part, which is as a contractor. And I did a Master of Conflict Resolution, which again was in Latrobe, which in Victoria. I like Victoria. I've been there about 140 times now, all on study trips. But that talks about different ways of communicating with people, and spending a lot of time listening instead of doing what I'm doing now, talking. I've had various roles in Engineers Australia. I'm currently, as it says, the division president. I've got used to that being like that for 5 minutes to go. I'm a WA division president. I'm a national councillor for Engineers Australia. That's sort of like a national vice president. And I've got an international role with ACHEC. ACHEC is the Asian Civil Engineering Coordinating Council, and that puts on conferences every 3 years. So if you're into conferences, the next one's in Jakarta in 2013, 22nd of August. I've been state president and national president of PESMA. PESMA is the Association of Professional Engineers, Scientists and Managers, and that's a union. And I've been a past director of REDAR. REDAR is Registered Engineers for Disaster Relief, and I'll talk something about other ranges of stuff to do in my talk. So my involvement with Engineers Australia and PESMA has been something like 20 years. In engineering, I continue to be involved and engage with students, accreditations, judging and awards. I like doing this too, usually a bit more structured than this, talking at graduations, participating in local university industry consultative committees. I'll get to that later. I'm a registered adjudicator, so that's part of my dispute resolution, an arbitrator, and a nationally accredited mediator. So I help where I can in the dispute resolution. It has been through the Institute of Arbitrators and Mediators for 12 years as a treasurer, so I can look after the money. I'm a volunteer mediator with the Citizens Advice Bureau, so that's like free advice that is given, or people who can't afford to get it through lawyers, you get it that way. Mentoring at schools in what's called SCRAM, Schools Conflict Resolution and Mediation, and helping out with CPD and training. So that's a little bit about that. I've been at JP for about 25 years, so I set the ball rolling. I developed, well, besides having been an executive by a couple of branches, I then found it too far to go to a branch, so I developed the PSU branch, and that meets once a month. Okay, that's a bit about me. Now, Engineers Australia, it's a body that accredits engineering courses at Australian universities and TAFE, and that's in the courses that undertake training of engineers and technologists. So that engineering course is a 4-year degree, and in some universities it's a 5-year degree, and technologist degrees are usually 3-year degree. The courses are all benchmarked against international accords, so the professional engineering degrees are against what's called a Washington Accord, the engineering technologists are against the Dublin Accord, and engineering associates, which is your advanced diploma, is against what's called the Sydney Accord. And with each category of professional recognition, there's sort of levels of competency that are compared, and at some stage you can become chartered. Now, chartered is a recognition of status, that you're professionally competent and have done training that is deemed suitable to independently practice as that work category. Now, I heard Steve talking about CPD. You need to do log about 50 hours of continuing professional development a year to stay current. So these sort of courses are ideal for staying current, so you never get away from them. You finish your course, you keep going. So like Steve said, he'll keep seeing you. A little bit that I read on the web about the Institute. It provides vocational training in professional certificates of competency and engineering and technology education through advanced diplomas and vocational diplomas. So in that, I know it's difficult studying when you've got other things in your life, but it takes a level of commitment to learn, and you've now achieved a personal milestone that you should be congratulated for. So you've experienced online learning, and that takes something from yourself to do that. So it's a great mode of education. I read that this place has been going since 1991. That's fantastic, and that Melissa told me that Melinda told me that there was actually 400,000 engineers, technologists, and technicians that have been trained globally in these short courses. And Steve pointed out that there's actually more than that, because there's other courses as well that are short courses. So that's a fantastic outcome. And the screen behind me that you can't see because I'm standing in front of it outlines all of the sort of courses that you do, and that's a very practical and an impressive list. Electrical systems and instrumentation and project management and information technology. And mine, civil, mechanical and chemical engineering is a whole heap. So well done if you've gone through that. I think that's very commendable. This course is recognised, or the work that's done in this course is recognised as CPD in the Engineers Australia as private study. And the learning activities that you also do through courses like this in your workplace are also recognised as CPD. My last 4 years before this year have been on site, fly in, fly out, and e-learning is a fantastic way of continuing your qualifications. If you're actually doing law, I'd be right onto you, because that's my next interest. It enables you to just do it at your own pace, and do it in like a virtual classroom. So this idea is right up there with that best of technology. So from here you come out better equipped with your training, you're stronger on your technical knowledge, and you're able to function really well. Steve gave you some pointers earlier about some of the things you should be looking at. I'll add to that. I won't say the same things, so no duplication. Engineering is a compassionate profession. We design and build to benefit humanity. Engineering, more than any other profession, can help fulfill on the United Nations 8 Millennium Development Goals. If you don't know what they are, look them up on Google. MDG, Millennium Development Goals. And as you progress through your career and you think about what you do to pass on knowledge, you can mentor and look out for your colleagues who may not have all the advantages that you now have. There's some sort of local way of doing it. You can start small, helping in the community. Maybe you can get involved in schools. In the context of talking about what it means to be, in my case an engineer, but in your case whatever you're doing, and tell kids about how you're going to change the world and what you're going to do in your career. So you're developing a loud, proud voice for what you do. And through your involvement in community, you'll get lots more benefits than it takes to put them in. So if you're in the depressed mode and you're sort of 40 and you don't like what you're doing, do something else. Go back to school. There's something I read about, if you put on the mirror, you're looking at the person responsible for your life. It'll be true every time you look at it. Some of the things I'm interested in are reconciliation, and that is the Reconciliation Action Plans. That's about the Reconciliation Australia, putting back into the Indigenous communities, doing stuff that bridges and makes the gap a little smaller. I might encourage you to assist in World Aid, because I noticed that it's an organisation that spans the globe, so World Aid and charitable work, there's a lot that can be done. I'd encourage your workplaces to consider backup advice for organisations that volunteer in the field. For engineering, it's RED-R, and you might have heard of Engineers Without Borders. There are 8 organisations that do either, in EWB's case, small development jobs, and in RED-R it's disaster relief, it's short term. I'll close because I got indicated at the beginning that my talk time is 15 minutes, and I'll try to keep the scope. I'll close by encouraging graduates to, I think we've closed straight away. Still 5 pages to go. I'll encourage students to think about growing your own business. You can always go and provide a job to someone else that way, and yourself. The usual avenue for people when they go through school is to go and find a job. I'm recommending that you go and create a job. It's probably going to be a lot more fun, and it's much more sustainable and good for your career growth. Your challenge is always in the present, so in the present, that's the only time you can actually do anything that's going to change, so advocate solutions and inspire the future with the tools that you have now, and plan to put things into time frames that you can actually achieve. As graduates, you've demonstrated that you're on the first step of the ladder. You probably, you're stepping up the ladder and developing yourself to make a difference. So I'm suggesting that you serve yourself by serving community, and it's through your actions and deeds and serving other people that you get the greatest benefits. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll close with saying congratulations to everyone that's gone through the course, and keep on learning. Cheers.
Thank you, Barry. Now, I'm sure everyone's very hungry, so what we'll do is we'll break for 30 minutes, maybe come back at 8:30, and have some food and maybe a couple of drinks. So, thank you very much. Thanks everyone. I hope you've had something to eat, a couple of drinks. I'd like to introduce our third speaker for tonight, Mr. Justin Shute. Now, Justin has over 32 years electrical engineering experience and holds an advanced diploma in electrical engineering, associate degree in electronic engineering, and is a fully qualified electrician. Justin has spent time working for Power and Water in the Northern Territory with Minara Resources and Coburn Cement, and up until recently he's been working in catastrophic HV design for Nielsen as their high energy engineering manager. Justin specialised in high voltage design and solutions and also lectures for the Engineering Institute of Technology. Justin was graduated from our very first advanced diploma of applied electrical engineering as well, so it's good to see. Thanks, Justin.
Hello everybody. Usually, I don't see people's faces. So this is, if I'm not looking at you, it's not discourteous or anything. It's I usually are looking at my clock in my house, or my dogs, or something else, or my screen, and talking. As you can sort of understand, I've done quite a few different things in my life, but one of the main things that I've kept true to myself is that when I was about 5 years old, like all 5-year-old kids, I connected up some Christmas lights, and I didn't realise at the time that Christmas lights are series connected, and I connected off in parallel and plugged it into a power point. My dad and my mum basically throttled me, and I got the spark to become an electrical engineer at 5 years old. It took another 10 years of my life even to think about what I was going to do. But one of the things that happened to me is that, like everybody in this room, you was at school, high school, and in doing so, you get the chance to do something, and let's go to do work experience. And for me, I went to a company called FR Masewoods. It was one of the largest electrical engineering companies in Adelaide. And in doing so, I made a big impact to the engineering manager at the time. And he wanted to give me an apprenticeship when I was 14 years old. My mother said that's not going to happen. So I matriculated, done my school, got all my things I had to do, and got out. Got my apprenticeship, and the gentleman actually had my name on my overalls already. He was actually waiting for me for 2 years. So I went through, became an apprentice electrician, and learnt the trade. And I didn't know at the time that there were things called engineers. I honestly didn't know that. I wanted to actually put a PowerPoint on a wall and call that being the smartest person in the world. But my boss at the time had different things for me. He wanted me to go in certain directions. And back in the days when you started doing your apprenticeships, there'd be intakes of about 30 people. And in the 30 people, you'd have 5 people go to a switchboard division, 5 people go to a motor section, 5 people go there. And like all school activities, when you're the last person standing there, you know that something's not right. You know, you're on the losing team. I was told to pack up my bag and leave and go to Port Adelaide. And I thought, oh my goodness, something's gone wrong. I didn't know at the time, but that was the head of the engineering department for FI Masewoods. I was actually one of the 30 people that was chosen to go down there, and I actually won. So from day one of my apprenticeship, I never put a PowerPoint on my entire life until I built my house. 20-something years later. And it was actually a novelty to actually put PowerPoint on. I want to show my wife what I actually do. And she said, "You don't know what you're doing." I said, "I know that." So we had our fun. So through that time, I learnt from an early age engineering. And I was brought up on carbon memory systems. If anybody remembers that, that's really old stuff. I was brought up through valves, I was brought up through transistors, I was brought up through rectifier systems, I was brought up through triple VF drives, flux vector drives. I was brought up through the whole system, so I was able to see a lot of things. Then what happened is I had the chance to go and work in the mines, and then I spent quite a number of years in the mining industry. From there, I went into more heavy electrical engineering. I wasn't an engineer at the time. I was still learning which way I was up, but I was hanging around with the right people at the time. And I was very, very lucky in what I was doing, is that I had people that actually saw potential in me and pushed me in directions. And then all of a sudden I found out that I've enrolled into uni, and I didn't realise that that came with a big debt, and I was working just to pay off a whole lot of stuff. But I buckled down, done a lot of homework, done a lot of homework, and ended up with something. I got a bit of paper. Now, like Steve has said, you learn a few bits of things in the class, but you learn a lot more out there. And when you're actually out there, and you're actually in a position, this is where things actually become very, very real and very, very fast. I started working in small jobs in the realm of, $1 million jobs. It sounds pretty small these days to what I'm doing these days, but $1 million, and to have your name on a $1 million job when I was 25 years old was, that was fantastic. But as you know, you do things, you grow up, you learn, you do things, and at the end of it, you actually find out you're actually bigger than you actually were. You go and find out there's things that you want to do, there's things that you want to look at, there's directions that you want to go in. And how my directions changed is that I figured out I wanted to do a certain thing. I wanted to go into automation. And so I went to school again and learnt PLCs and instrumentation, and I learnt that power is control. But without control, power doesn't exist. So I had a bit of an oxymoron. I actually thought about how do I go further into this even more. And I went into power generation. And in power generation, I started looking at steam turbines, gas turbines, solar power stations, but 1 megawatt power stations in solar, wind turbines, and looking at the control and the SCADA and the systems that you're required to actually operate these things. This was actually pretty cool when I was learning all this. But I found out there's actually a much, much bigger thing that comes with it. Building these things is very, very cool. But when things go really, really wrong, I found out that's where the fun is. Because that's when you have open bank checks, companies and directors of companies want to speak to you. You are on speed dial. I'm really good friends with Wood and Greaves Engineering. I have Robert Holmes of Court. He calls me up on speed dial. He wants to ask a question. We have mine sites that, like Telfer, have me on speed dial. They actually have a plane organised for me to fly the site at WIMS. So I found out there was a complete different area to work in. And this was just wholly and solely of learning. And I learned over a long, lot of time that where the money is where things go really, really wrong. But, like everything, nothing works to your plan, and I figured out I needed to build groups of people to actually help me. I cannot do everything that I want to do. So I made a distinction a number of years ago, and I looked at who I was associated with now. So the clock had turned the whole dime, and I'm actually my old boss at my apprenticeship days, looking at the people that are doing this to me and saying, I want that person, I want this person, I want this person, and I want this person, and I want this person to do this. So I started looking at this, and I decided I'm going to go back to school. But I'm not going to go back to school and actually learn. I actually went to school and actually became a lecturer. And I actually changed people's minds. And in doing so, I didn't realize at the time, but I always taught to the people that I was teaching that there are bigger. There's always bigger. Don't get caught up in what you think is what you're doing today is all there is. There is bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then 10 or 12 years passed, and I'm walking down the street, and I bump into these people, and I see a gentleman called Bradley Poor. He was a young kid at school, and he owns his own business, and he actually came out and said, I need to take you out to dinner. I said, okay, I haven't spoken to you for years. Can you bring your wife and come out to dinner with me? He said, you are the inspiration for me making my own business, because I actually put him in the right direction, wholly and solely by making people think. And the biggest thing that I've actually learned in the last 15 years of my life is actually not doing things, it's actually making people look at things. Everybody can be shown how to do something, but when you're actually shown how to think and actually how to manipulate yourself and actually look at how a problem can actually be solved or manipulated in a certain way to actually get an outcome, it may not be the 100% outcome that you're looking for, it's the outcome that you actually want. And I was talking to, Greg, sorry. 2 years ago, at the company where he's working, they had a major fault. And what we had there is a ring main system had gone down, and what we had to do is think very, very fast how to make this system work again. And getting HV systems up and running is very, very time-consuming. But we've done it in probably 24 hours. So we made two ring main systems and island systems in 24 hours. So that's been very, 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 very left-wing thinking. It's very, very fast, very quick, but it provides the solution. Now, with all this stuff that's been happening in my life, I also then went to school and actually went to EIT. I thought, why not? I'll just try this as well. And I looked at this and I thought, I can do this at home. There's a few little problems, and as you can probably figure out, I travel quite a bit at times that I don't know about when I was going to be. And I was actually doing my course that I would be listening to some lecturer on the other end of the thing. And I was doing it down in Mineshaft. I might be down there doing a job, and then I shut up the dial in, and I'm thinking, there's a leaky feeder up here, so I would actually log into the leaky feeder and actually go into the internet that way. So being smart comes in very handy sometimes to actually break into things. So I was doing my course wherever I could. I was doing it on oil rigs, I was doing it in mines, I was doing 2 kilometres down underground, doing the course. Then I really wanted, because basically if you didn't go there, you'd miss out. So I just kept on following through. I thought, why not? Just do it. Then what happened later on is that one day I got in the mail something. I didn't go to a graduation either because I wasn't there. I was on a job. I got it in an envelope and said, do you have a bit of paper that says you got something? And I thought, oh, great. I put that in the pile, and I don't think I've taken it out ever since I received it. So it's in the drawer somewhere. But Then I was actually asked whether I'd like to do 1 or 2 courses online. I thought, why not? It can't be that hard, because I followed other people doing it. But this time it was under my control, and I was able to be home. I would sit home, I'd set up my computer, and I was doing a course one time, and it was actually on harmonics of all things, power fundamentals of all things. And during the course, I was talking to people about if there was a harmonic problem, you get some noise on your computer, and for some reason, my computer started making all this noise. It started corrupting all the voices, and I said, anybody gets a question there, you get a harmonic question, put it down that you heard Justin say, this night is what we saw as harmonics, I'll give you a pass. And so basically, I actually had a few people actually write it down there, and I said, yeah, the coordinators rang me up, and I said, pass him. Because it explains it. It explains it personally. You couldn't get any better than that actual application. So I've used that sort of ability into the course. And I've learned over the years, I started learning when I was very young that I had to learn. I'm much older now, and I've learned that you don't have to learn because you have to. You learn because you want to. And it becomes easier when it's actually free for yourself instead of somebody's telling you, you actually have to do this, you actually have to do this, you have to go this way. So things become much easier and you start looking at things. Now, one of the things students have actually told me over the years that I've been teaching, because now I teach and lecture quite a number of subjects, is that people sometimes, if they know the subject, they sort of are able to talk about the subject. But if you really know the subject, you don't need to look at the notes or anything. You need to be very, very creative with scribble. And I draw stickmen, quite a lot of stickmen. And a lot of the students that see that are on the courses with me, I actually use stickmen in, if this person was touching this, you would die, and they'll have a stickman standing up and they have a stickman standing down. This is what happens. So I go really, really back to basics. And there's nothing wrong with that. And what we do is, I don't want to tell people how to read a book. Everybody can learn to read a book. I'm telling people how to think. And if you know how to think, you can actually learn, and you can actually put that application into whatever the area you're working in. My area that I experience in is basically HV and HV design, and doing things very, very fast and very, very quick. But I really need people to actually use that same thing that I have in their everyday life as well. Because once you know how to use an application, it doesn't matter what you're using it for, to talk to people, to do your work, to apply it to a PID loop, how to tune a PID loop, how to set up a VSC drive. How you know and how you think makes this much easier. And what I've actually noticed is being on both sides of the coins, from being a lowly little apprentice to being an engineering manager, and looking back over the years, I now realize two things. Being a manager, it's not cut out to be, it's not fantastic. There's a lot more work into it. But the biggest thing that I've actually learnt over the last 40 years is actually paying it back and getting young people to think. Once you get young people to think, they are able to use that application into furthering their life. And then, as I've seen in my life, I've seen young people open their own businesses and hire apprentices that they're working for themselves. And they slowly, I've noticed what I've been trying to preach to them. And that is think. Therefore, I hope you learn something else as well, to think for yourself. So I hope all you people that have graduated go further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Justin. All right, we have something a little bit different now. We have a video to show you. Now, it's Richard Morley video. Now, Richard Morley is best known as the father of the Programmable Logic Controller, PLC. He's a leading visionary in the field of advanced technological development and is an internationally recognized expert in the field of computer design, artificial intelligence, industrial automation, and is an authority on the factory of the future. His inventions, including the PLC, are now standing in the Smithsonian Institute. So we'll play the video.
This guy is exceptional. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, I mean, Dick is exceptional. I've met him a few times, completely deranged, off the planet, but he's a really unbelievable guy. Just on a personal note, I've met him many times, and he's presented all over the world for us on conferences and presentations. But he's, I mean, little known. He lives just outside Boston, so you can see sort of Boston in the distance. And he's had, I think it's 35, 40 foster children. He and his wife have fostered over the years. I mean, he's in his early 80s now, I think. But he's fostered these kids. He's got this massive barn. So if you go and look on the web under thebarn.org, that's where he lives. Fostered these children, put them into incredible opportunities in their lives. He's, as I say, just absolutely exceptional. And then the PLC, the Programmable Logic Controller, which is a basic building block of anything you do in engineering today, even in civil engineering, I might add, Barry. You'll see a PLC. It's an industrial computer for the partners here, who are not involved in engineering necessarily, but it's an industrial computer. And he developed it. And he said he developed it in the 60s, and he developed it after a major hangover. So they had a massive hangover, came into work, and thought, oh, what am I doing? And then he just suddenly had this brilliant mind stroke and scribbled this diagram down and sold it to General Motors, and General Motors installed it on all their automobile manufacturing lines. So, and then from then onwards, it just took off, and in fact created a billion-dollar company as a result. So this is Dick, very caring, lovely guy, perhaps a few more years on this earth. But his wife recently died a year ago, and he was absolutely, or 6 months ago, so he was absolutely devastated. But you know, made an incredible contribution to engineering, and he's just off the planet, really. That's what makes him so successful. He looks at everything from a completely different perspective, and you can only admire the guy. It's quite hard to manage this guy. You know, herding, as I say, herding cats, very hard to herd cats, but this guy does it. And that's what I'd like to encourage everyone here to think about. Just think completely differently. Don't think in serial lines. Think differently. And to follow up a notable omission in my presentation, which both Barry and dear Justin picked up, and that is business. Create your own business. Drive your own business. Whether it's you working as a contractor, or whether it's you talking to other people to try and encourage them, because that's the future for our children. We're not going to have the Rios and the BHPs giving us jobs. We have to create those jobs ourselves. We have to be the creators of work. And that's just to follow up what Barry and Justin remarked. So anyway, let's have the I think it's about 10 minutes.
Hello, everybody. I'm sitting here in my office talking to Debbie, my noble and truthful secretary, and we're very proud to be part of your graduation ceremony. We like graduating people that understand people like me and the world both together. That's fascinating. EIT is your host, and we'll talk about my life, your life, and what you can expect to do. Now, congratulations. That's a big one. Go and have a party. Have a couple of drinks. Get drunk, have a headache, and invent the programmable controller. We'll tell you all about that in a minute or two. And so that's the key element. Now, I was born at a very early age. I was 8 pounds and lost weight after I was born, which I can't seem to do today. was born on a Thursday morning about 1 a.m., December 1st, 1932. That's a long time ago. Now, you guys may not remember how long ago it was, but it was a long, long time ago. And I always wanted to be a science guy. Einstein was my hero. You remember, I don't know if you remember or not, Einstein did all this stuff from 1915 to 1930. And he's just finished his work, and I was born. Ta-da! Now, if you think about that, I'm going to try and transgress quite quickly through my middle teenage years. When I was born, I had no hair, and when I was a teenager, I had short hair because I didn't want to cut it frequently, comb it. You know, I'm a geek and proud to be one. Now, the interesting thing of that is I went to MIT after I finished high school. Now, how I got to MIT is a case in point. I didn't think about it. I was in English class in my third year of high school, and everybody had to write a note to the college that they were going to go to.
He had colleges listed on the board, didn't he?
Yeah, he had college listed on the board with a line through them, and they went them all, and the only one left with 3 letters MIT, which I didn't know anything about. So I said, okay. And he said, you'll never get there. And I said, okay. I didn't care. My dream was different than his dream. My dream was to play around with cars, small rockets, machine tools, physics, chemistry, chemical lab, all of that. Erector sets, nobody remembers those, but I do. And I wrote away, and they accepted me. And I said, well, that'll be pretty easy. It wasn't easy. MIT was hard. It carried a brick around your head, and you had to learn stuff. Since I didn't know how to study, that made a lot of problems for me when I didn't know how to study. So then I decided, got out of there and I go to work. Oops, that's even worse. Not harder, by the way. That was easy.
Just a bigger brick?
No, it was a bigger prison.
Oh.
I was in prison. I had to get up on time. Unbelievable. Couldn't skip class. No. I had to go what they told me. I was run by accountants, lawyers, and managers, especially those terrible MBA guys. I didn't like any of that. So in 1964, I got on my motorcycle and rode off into the night. I said, now I have freedom. That was not the case. It was the illusion of freedom that I had. And I figured, now we don't make mistakes. Now everything's going to be fine, and I can go and do what I got to do. Well, no, it turns out that I made tons of mistakes. And I found out that progress is only made down the road, and the road has bumps in it. Without those bumps, you're not making progress. Don't be afraid of bumps. Don't try to make a smooth road and then go. Go first. That's what it's all about. So about 1968, I had a hangover New Year's Day from drinking too much on New Year's Eve. And I had yet another proposal to do. You know how you get the proposals and you write them out? I didn't want to do that. I'm tired. I've got a headache. So I noticed in hindsight that all of the programs I had worked on for the last 4 years had a similarity that was astounding. So I built a box that did most of those all by itself. The box cost as a component twice as much as any computer. But I was done with the job. And it had the nice thing about saying, if it takes 4 months to change an automation line to do trucks, you can do it now. Instead of 4 months, you could do it in a month and a half. That's a lot of trucks.
Did you have a specific purpose for it in the beginning?
Nope. Had no specific purpose. All I wanted to do was make money while I sleep and get rid of this goddamn proposal. So we, pardon me. So we did that, and life's handled pretty good after that so much. So as a result of that, not as a result, I was married before, we get married. We had 3 of our own kids and 40 other kids that we took in as apprentices, and wafers and foster children. And if my wife said, if they want to come live with us and we want them, they can come. And they all were fairly successful. We were astonished at that. Then I got even older, and I grew a beard between the things, and I had a beard on my motorcycle. At one time I had a very big beard. And then life still goes on. And finally life today is I have no beard, no hair, and no legs and no motorcycles. But I do look at my computer screen and I have a ball cruising around the world and still dream. Now, one of the things people ask me, what are your habits? I sleep about 4 hours a night, and I take 2 naps during the day. Everybody thinks you have freedom when you work for yourself, but you don't. The freedom is that, oh, thank you, Debbie. The freedom is that, oh, that feels better, thank you. The freedom is that you have to be the first guy on the job in the morning and the last guy to get home at night, at least 6 days a week. If that's your definition of freedom, live with it.
I like your description of the house where you live, or where Shirley lives. Shirley's house is where you sleep at night.
Oh, that's right. Debbie's reminding me as I drive in to go to the barn. I said, that's Shirley's house, my wife's house. That's where I sleep. So anyway, if you want to learn more, by the way, teach. Teach is a wonderful way to learn. We expect to have you teaching at EIT in the near future. So get with it, learn a lot, and become smarter than anybody around you. And don't listen to fools. Fools will badger you saying, go to this party. What are you doing that for? You got to work on politics. The politics of the future is more important than the politics of the today. So be careful about that. The trap you can easily fall into. What works? Everything works. We know gravity works. We know airplanes works. We know everything works. We know about evolution. We know about all of those things. But apparently the rest of the world doesn't. But we shall see. The rest of the world may or may not know that. So you've got to trust yourself, not opinion. Trust fact, not opinion. That's an important problem. Remember, we, the engineers, make the world. No one else. I include farmers in this engineering. Engineering means taking something, changing it, and making it more useful to our culture, our community, our country, whatever you like. Now, here's a bit of philosophy. I want to give you some philosophy. I know philosophy is a bad thing, but philosophy is important. Don't go to the future with your plans. Walk over to the future with your eyes and your mind. Actually, literally go there in your imagination. Everything we build has to be 5 to 20 years of life, and if you're an architect, you've got 100 years of buildings. Go there and bring that future to the present. Don't take the present into the future, take the future and bring it back to the present. Remember, you are the future. Nobody else is the future but you. You are the future. Not me, not your mother and dad, not politicians. And as Shakespeare says, shoot all the lawyers. Now, that means you're onward into the future. You're going to have a good ride, a difficult ride, and the reward will be something different than most anybody else can get. Dream on, sleep well, get on your motorcycle. My name is Dick Morley. The audience makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right?
Hello there. This is Dick Morley. Hey, I got video. I got talk time. How about that? Are we up and running? On talk, audio, okay? Give me a smiley face if we have voice. Hey, you can hear me. Yay! I don't know quite what happened, but I fooled around a bit, and we are fine and dandy. Tell you what, you can ask me questions and I will answer them, but since the audio is tricky, just send me the questions by typing them in, and I will answer verbally or retype them. So questions are, is the video real? It is. Was my life an accident? Yes, it was. Did I do all the things I mentioned there? Yes, I did. The audio is back, it seems to me.
but I'm running through the TV channel. The audio is back, and we got smiling faces on the audios. Keep those smiling faces on there. Next question I got is that I congratulate all you guys. I'm really pleased. I like to see you there. I like to see this stuff happening. And we are the guys who will make the world go around. Remember that. Not the lawyers, not the accountants, not the MBAs. We build everything, everywhere. Marconi, Brett, Lapham, all of those people that we talk about here are the guys that we are the change. We build for 5 years from today to 20 years from today. We seldom deal with the past. We don't complain. We are probably underpaid, but that's not our job, to get paid well. Our job is to do what we need to do for our country, our company, and we are the change. So, yeah, only the educated are free. That's true. I'm working with some of the countries around the world, and in fact, Mongolia and North Korea at the moment. And they all want invention. They all want command. They all want control. They all want to do right for their culture, company, family, and the globe. Let me transfer this back to you guys with the closing address. Here goes, I'm switching over, I think.